Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Like and subscribe, links are in the description. We're going to do the TAFA and chart analysis for December 22nd, 2021. If you actually look at the chart, it does seem we're continuing in this lull phase. Although I don't think we're slowly going down like we were here. It's actually very hard to tell. Our peak phase this time wasn't quite as long as the peak phase last time, so the lull probably won't be as long. There are rumblings of a possible short squeeze after the new year. There's also a small chance that it might happen before the new year because liquidity will actually be low leading up to the new year, and that always leads to short squeezy type things. So right now, I believe the lull will only last maybe 2 more weeks until the new year, and then we'll probably start to come up. The levels, we haven't really dipped nearly as much this time, but like I said, I didn't really expect us to dip as heavy as the summer because China can't really kick out the miners again because they're already out. If you look at the hash rate graph, we're starting to tick up again a little bit, and that's definitely good news. I expect us to actually not really pass the all-time high until the new year or after the new year, and that's when everything is actually coming together. Remember, mining hash rate and price do correlate pretty strongly with each other, so it is a pretty good signal. Everything is pointing after the new year. Could possibly happen before the new year, but I think everything is pointing after the new year because most people are going to be on vacation. They're not going to be trading quite as hard. They're not going to be quite as online as much. They're not going to be watching it quite as much. I know you and I sometimes will be, but for most people, it's vacation time. If you actually look at the oscillators for the daily, the oscillators are very neutral. RSI of 42, stochastic of 56, commodity channel index of -11, average directional index of 37. Nothing much has changed for the last few days. Once again, the EMA and the SMA for the 10 are both on buy. The EMA is above the SMA, which is good. And our price right now is above both the EMA and the SMA, which is quite excellent for the 10. So if you're wanting to buy for tomorrow, it's positive. However, if you're looking for the next 2 weeks, it's still fairly negative. The exponential, the EMA and the SMA for 20, 30, 50 is still saying sell, although the EMA for the 20 is moving above the SMA for the 20. And we are getting pretty close to being above the SMA for the 20. So the signals are actually getting stronger, and if we have a few more positive days, that will actually flip around. But like I said, I don't really expect too much before the end of the year. On the weekly, we are swinging much more towards neutral, even a buy. The oscillators still stay the same. The average directional index is very weak. The awesome hasn't really moved all that much. Commodity channel index is not over -100. Both the RSI and the stochastic are very much neutral. However, the 10-week moving average, obviously, we're much lower than the 10-week moving average. That's saying sell. We're sell all the way down to the 30 as usual, although we are above the SMA for the 30. But if you look for the last half of a year, it's actually still very bullish from the 10 and the 20. So weekly for the next 2-3 weeks, definitely still more of like a neutral to sell. Looking at the longer term, obviously it's buy, but you can't really look at past like 30, 50 because that's more than a year. And I really don't think that data is really that valid when you're doing technical analysis for that long. So once again, weekly, like a week 2 out, like Christmas, New Year, definitely doesn't look good in terms of TA. But if you're looking further out, maybe into next year, it gets much better. For the monthly, nothing as much has changed. The stochastic and RSI are getting a little bit closer to oversold, but the average directional index isn't incredibly strong, and the commodity channel index is definitely not anywhere near like oversold. At 60, it's actually closer to overbought, but it's not really overbought either. Awesome still hasn't crossed 0, doesn't really matter. The exponential moving average for 10 months, which is the only monthly one I look at, is still below the simple moving average, indicating that the momentum is still negative. But we are above the EMA, so things might be turning around on the 10 monthly. The 20, 30, 40 months is always going to be positive unless we have a multi-year bear market. That doesn't really matter. So once again, like with this mixed signal, I would still say like for the next half month, maybe even the next 3 weeks or so, still definitely more of the neutral sell. Whereas like into next like deep into next month, I would say there's definitely a buy signal right there. So nothing much has changed from yesterday. I think it's gotten a little bit more bullish since yesterday because we have held pretty steady or we've gone up a little bit. And I think there is a small chance for a short squeeze before the new year, but a much, much bigger chance after the new year that would actually happen. I think a lot of analysts are actually calling for it, but I just don't really see, despite the liquidity being low for the next two weeks because of Christmas, I just don't really see it that something major happens before we actually sign off for the new year and get into 2022. I do think 2022 will actually be very, very bullish. I'm more of a fan of these like shorter 6-month cycles now than the 4-year cycle, because we're getting a lot of ups and downs that really we weren't getting last cycle and all the way around. I don't think that like we're going to drop in 2022 just because the 4-year cycle is over. I do think it's extended out, but it's not really even the 4-year cycle anymore. It's more of the like 6-month cycles that we've been talking about, and that might persist for a while. We might get a big rally, a couple of years from now during the next halving. Bitcoin continues to expand in adoption. We expect 5 more countries to come in for next year, as well as other smaller cryptos as well. People like Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey are very much in favor of crypto. They're pro-cryptocurrency, and they think crypto can evolve into a new financial system. Obviously, they have a lot of money to actually convince politicians, so what they think might actually be very pertinent to what happens in the future. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a good day.